Hello and welcome to Gaming Blind, where I, a blind gamer, play video games and see how accessible they are to people like me. My name is Dom, and this video is one of two where we will be discussing and reviewing the submissions for the No Video Jam 2. The No Video Jam 2 was a contest to make a game that would be accessible to the blind and severely sight impaired. It ended a few days ago, or so does my script say because I keep postponing the video because of my stress and mental health, but it ended recently with 10 submissions. Now, being a blind gamer myself and having a series on my channel about gaming blind, I thought it would be important, useful and fun to play the games myself. Now, I just realized that in my script the second slide is gone and I had my plan written on it, so I was basically going to tell you how I will review the games and judge them. I will be judging the games based on the judging system on the actual contest. So we will be talking about the accessibility. Is it easy to operate and perceive? Fun. Is the game enjoyable? Originality. Is it something new or has this been done before? And sound. Is the sound well executed? Also note, visuals were an option to put inside the game when making the game, as long as the game would be playable without them, as it's a no video jam. For the other rules and more info regarding the game jam, I recommend you check out the video I made about it, and if you feel like checking them out yourself, the links to all of the games I will be reviewing and discussing today will also be in the description. I will also be reviewing the games in no particular order, but I will rate the games from worst to best in part 2. And remember, I am playing as a blind gamer would. What I am about to say are my genuine first playthrough reactions. So, without further ado, let's start the review. Lost in the Dark is a Google Chrome game by Zoe21. From what I understood, the aim of the game was to collect certain nodes in a dark building. The first thing you hear when starting the game is the text-to-speech narration. The audio, unfortunately, is quite choppy. It's not smooth and it keeps cutting off. To add to that, there is no button to repeat the options in the menu. When a level is selected, the narrator does not tell you that you have done so, nor does it tell you which specific level you selected. Looking at the screen is the only way to tell. A pro of the game is that when you press your spacebar next to a node, the beacon you are holding will make a certain beep sound. When the node is collected, it will make a different sound. Otherwise, the nodes will emit echoey beeps to show where they are. But I could only collect 2 nodes. After that, I was stuck. Apart from pressing space to find out if you hit a wall, there is no other aid in telling you whether you hit a wall or not. To add to the troubles, there is no sound when you turn left or right. The story seems like an okay concept, but unfortunately, the accessibility, the interface and the sound design were not so good. Retro Olympics is a game by Pitimac, I think I said your name right, available for Windows and Mac. As the title suggests, the game is supposed to be a sports game of some kind. For somebody who usually plays PC games with a keyboard, I could not find the buttons that were mentioned in the menu. The narrator mentions Start to be the button to start the game when obviously there is no start button on the keyboard. In reality, what you have to do is press the return or enter key. To find out how to play the game, the narrator says to press the Y key. When the Y key was pressed on my keyboard, nothing happened. Only when I pressed H, I think, it said the instructions. The H key is very hard to find for a blind person. It's not tactile like the F or the J keys, nor it is a specific shape like the arrow keys or the spacebar. Only when one manages to press the How to Play key, you find out that the keys mentioned before are supposed to be for a gamepad or a controller. It may have been much more useful to mention that in the very beginning of the game, or to have some option to, for example, press the spacebar for the gamepad controls, or the Enter key for the keyboard controls. And speaking of which, once again, there was no option to repeat the menu options. Unfortunately, I could not play this game either. When I pressed enter, I heard a voice say, "On your marks, get set, go," and then I heard people cheering and shouting, and I heard some footsteps running. The sounds of the footsteps were stereo, with the left one being on the left side and the right one being on the right side. However, I had no idea whether the footsteps I'm hearing were my footsteps or somebody else's. I did not know if and how I was controlling my character, and everything just seemed very confusing to me. Ironically, it is quite accessible to quit the game. You just have to press the escape key, and even for a non-blind person, the escape key is very easy to find on a keyboard. Unfortunately, a blind gamer would most likely also struggle to play this game. Blind Night Zombie Saga is the next game we will cover. It is available for Windows and Android and was developed and published by Attachment Studios. The description says it is a simple basic shooter game for visually impaired people. I had a go at playing it, and here are the results. I realized that the game was indeed very simple. The only controls in the game were the left and right mouse buttons. The audio is also quite good. The narrator is clear and the surround sound works well when shooting a gun or hearing the zombie sounds. The issue comes when you actually want to play the game. After the narrator explains the controls and thanks you for playing the game in advance, the game starts and you hear a zombie on your left if you're wearing your headphones, which are recommended. You're meant to click the right mouse button to shoot towards your right and the left mouse button to shoot to your left. Now, it may be a bug or an unfinished project, but however many times you shoot left where you hear a zombie, it does not die. Problem number 2 occurs when you realize that because the game cannot be maximized or set to full screen, somebody like me would have to know where to actually point your mouse cursor to shoot the gun in the game. The cursor must be hovering on the actual game. If it isn't, the game minimizes because you clicked elsewhere. So, my opinion on this game is great start. I love the concept, and although I could not play the game properly, the surround sound was great, and like the description said, the game was simple. From the 3 games I already mentioned, this one is the first I could physically play. It was the easiest to operate so far. If there was a full-on story mode of the concept, I'm sure I would definitely play it. Good job. Talon the Dragon developed the next game we will be playing by the name of Evil Satellites. This Windows game is a 3D audio-only space shooter. I like space, I like the concept of space shooting, and if this game is as good as the previous game we discussed, or better, I will surely enjoy it. So, is it? Now, for this game to run, you need Windows.net, a special Windows program which I thought I already had on my computer. Apparently I didn't have it though, but if you don't have it either, don't worry. When you try running the game, you will get a notification to install it, and then you will be transferred to the official Microsoft page to do that for free. The game looks to be pretty well built. The sound effects and the music are fantastic. I love the voice acting within the actual game. The music is great and the sound design is also pretty nice. But I think it would be nicer for when the satellites get closer to the player for them to initially start a little slower for the player to actually get used to locating them. I love the way you hear the direction of the satellites. Pressing up and down, which I assume are the forwards and backwards keys, the spacebar, I presume the shoot key, and the left and right keys, which I think turn you, all have unique sounds. But speaking of the controls, I did say I assume they are what they are because I had no idea which keys are which. Neither the narrator nor the voice actress say which controls are where. The only time the text-to-speech narrator explains the controls is in the menu, basically explaining how to control it, the menu, not the game itself. I do like the menu and its options otherwise though, and the easy way that they are controlled. There is an options menu where you can turn on and off the music amongst other things. I do think it would be better for the TTS to speak a little faster though with shorter pauses. The final game we will cover in this episode is Binora, a game for Windows by, now hold on because it's a lot of people, by Matthias Villano, Arisa KLH, CJS Audio, and Eric Florencia. Eric Florencia. I hope I said all of this correctly. The objective of this audio puzzle game, according to the description, is to create or recreate a soundscape. From the get-go, the sound design does seem nice. The narrator, which is a normal human's voice and not a text-to-speech, which is good and less annoying, tells you what's on the menu and what to press. The game also has an image, not just sound. I may have been able to play the game with just audio if it wasn't for the fact that the narrator told me to press buttons that are not on a keyboard. Like mentioned before, as PC gaming is mainly keyboard based, and a blind gamer like myself would be prepared to play a PC game on a keyboard, I had no access to a controller to be able to actually play this game. Because no keyboard buttons were mentioned, I had to use my limited sight to navigate through the menu. The menu is high contrast in some places, so I will give you that. But as I navigated through it with my mouse, the narrator read certain texts and options on the screen. Again, there was no option to reread the text, but oh well. There was a tutorial section, and the game was full screen, some more pros. But this is yet another game I could not actually play because I wasn't prepared to play with a controller or a gamepad. And the only controller I do have does not even work with the game. Some of the 5 games I reviewed today use a controller or gamepad, and I genuinely cannot remember if there was a rule in the game jam allowing gamepads or controllers. I am blind, and if there was one, I didn't notice it. But nevertheless, whether or not there was one, I think it should have been a little more clearer, both in the jam itself and especially in the games. Or there should have been an option to choose the desired way of playing. I feel like so far the games did have some pros, but most of them I could not play or enjoy properly. But who knows, maybe the other 5 may be drastically improved and much better. If you'd like to find that out, please subscribe to my channel and press the bell button to get notified of when I upload next. Like this video if it helped, or if you liked it, dislike it if, well, you didn't. Comment any suggestions or opinions about the games or anything I may have missed out. Thanks for watching and thanks for letting me waste your time. Bye bye.